Hey YouTube, today I'm working on my 2006 Dodge Charger Pursuit. Right now I'm using a wire wheel attachment for my grinder to take away all the rust, scaling, and paint to make sure I have a smooth surface to paint over again. Now I did fast forward this video as it takes a long time to remove all of this by hand if you don't use a sandblaster. Plus that also has the chance of warping the metal, but this is something thick that a sandblaster most likely wouldn't warp. I did use some screws to hold it down on the table. On the other end where the bushing isn't at, I used a piece of 10 gauge wire, wrapped it around it, and then tied it to the underneath of the table, and that kept it from spinning around as I'm pressing on the drive shaft with the wheel attachment. Now I'm not focusing too much on the area where the new U-joint will be going in and the new bushing bracket, but for now I'm still removing the scaling in that area that I can reach, because once those things are removed, I will make sure I can wire wheel inside that area and then install the new U-joint once I press it on. Now, this is the original dry shaft. The other half is still underneath the car, which I will be prepping in the same exact manner, which I'll film that too. But for now, this is what I've been doing. That way, when all the new parts arrive, the couplers, and everything else like that, I'll be able to move on and have some clean material to reinstall with all the new parts and hardware on. Make sure to wear some eye protection and a mask, as this is a very, very dirty job. Now this is the finished product after wire wheeling for about 40 minutes. I'm going to be using a rust dissolver. You can choose which brand you want to use. And I'm going to take a nice little brush, press it on there. As you can see, it's already converting instantly. Look at that color change to the white. It's getting in there and removing anything, any impurities, so that when I actually prime and paint over it, it will have no problems. This will increase the chances of the rust not reoccurring, unless it gets scratched, of course. But this will help convert and keep everything in a safe manner once the new paint goes on. Now you're going to want to give it about 8 to 15 minutes to sit. Then you're going to wipe it off with some water. I don't really like to use water to wipe it off and reintroduce anything that could cause rust again. I will usually use a glass cleaner, acetone, or something of that nature. Then I'll use a degreaser before I paint. Alright, so once you're done with that, let it sit, like I said, for a few minutes. I came back after about 15 minutes. I'm using some glass cleaner. As you can see, the sprayer is pretty much empty. And I'm probably going to open it up so that I can pour it out. That way it can go on a lot easier. And then I'll refill the bottle another time. Now there's a little bit of leftover paint on here and some heavy pitting that was converted. But that's not really going to matter. So, whatever you're looking for finish-wise, this is just a dry shaft, so the little bit that's in the center right there that's left is not going to be noticeable, especially with a semi-gloss paint. And I'm not going for a showroom finish. If I was, I'd make sure that I scuff this up with 320, and then I'd prime it, and then put the color over it. But as a daily driver, this is perfect quality. Got rid of all the rust and converted everything. I'm using a degreaser right now. It's industrial strength. That'll be the last little bit. Wipe it down, and then it'll be ready for me to paint it once it dries off. And I make sure that all the gel is gone from the rust dissolver. Now, if you like classic cars or like to see things restored just like this 2006 Charger, which will be a classic at some point, follow and like and subscribe. I'm still working in a nice little two-bed garage and I'm saving up for my shop. But as you can see, I got a nice Wagoneer right next to me. That one's going to be up for sale very soon. I take my time and I make sure I craft every vehicle with love and care and dedication because that's what these old classic cars and all these cool cars that still come through that might not be classic deserve. Over here, they're not just pieces of metal in my eyes. Over here, we understand how much a vehicle can matter to someone. They've been in the family for a long time. Or maybe it's just a vehicle that you owned since high school. Maybe you even named your vehicle. If you have, leave it in the comments below. Take your time using more than one rag to get in there, get in the nooks and crannies, because you're not going to want anything to ruin the finish. Like any oil or residue that will cause a streaky finish, or cause something like a wrinkle, or for the fish eyes to start to happen. Just take your time with the cleaning and prepping. That is what makes the best style paint job. Alright, my camera died and I did a light tack coat, which you can kind of still see. It's a little transparent, which is exactly what you're aiming for on the first coat so that it doesn't run. Now I'm doing a light dust coat for the next one, and this way that you can start building it up, and then you can go for a nice medium coat after that, guaranteeing that it won't have any runs or anything like that. I am just using a simple rattle can for this part. You can use automotive paint, mix it up, and spray it out of your HVLP, but for this part, I am on a budget, and for me, I am aiming for a medium style finish with being able to keep the durability and rust protection up. So this was the best of both worlds without shelling out a bunch of money or needing to get out my HVLP and spray out of my DeVilbiss or my 3M. So for now, this is basically what you can do. And for me, I have nothing against rattle can as long as it's really not for the exterior of the car. And even then, if you do it, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do if you're in the budget zone of what you need to do to just get it back on the road. I'm not a hater. I gotta just pretty much say, do what you have to do and be happy with what you make because it's your vehicle. Now, this is the finished look, and I still have the other half to do, but it looks great. Remember to like and subscribe and stay tuned for things like that Wagoneer that's right next to me getting restored.